Today we're going to talk about what makes a great story. We know that the story that you tell yourself and the story that you tell others is the one that determines the trajectory of your life. So we want to make sure that that is a great story. We want to make sure we get that one right. This is how, you guys, I have fulfilled on my biggest dreams during my lifetime. This is how my kids are going to fulfill on their biggest dreams, and this is how you're gonna fulfill on your biggest dreams by telling the right story, not only to yourself, but to others. Follow that story, bring it into existence. So let's start off. What makes a great story? Number one tip, a great story does not start at the top. It never does. Think back to great movies you've seen. Think back of great books that you've read. Even fairy tales that you've read your kids. Where do they always start? Where does a great story start? It starts at the bottom. It does not start at the top. Say you and me were making a movie today about the climbing of Mount Everest. Where would we begin that story? Would we begin at the top of Mount Everest, planting the flag? No. That's called a bad story. There's no story to tell once you're at the top. We have to start at the bottom. Looking up at the top of Mount Everest, you and me, looking at each other and going, you know what, there's no way in hell we can do this. We'll probably die. We'll probably have to step over dead bodies before we die on our way up to Mount Everest. That is what you call a great story. If you don't believe me on that, let's just do a little quick exercise. I'm going to give you 5 seconds to recall the greatest moment of your life, the moment that you are most proud of. 5 seconds, go. That's 5. That's the greatest moment of your life. Forget about that one. It's not a good story. Let's put another 5 seconds on the clock. Now I want you to recall your lowest moment of your life. The moment where you looked around and there were no answers for you. 5 seconds, go. That's a great story. That sucker is usable. Every story starts at the bottom. If you start at the top, you've got no story to tell. You've got nowhere to go. That's tip number 1. Here's tip number 2. I want you to look in your life in between the ages of 9 and 12. Because if you have kids, you know. And if you have kids in between the ages of 9 and 12, you know that that's a very emotional time for them. Everything to them means everything. Getting cut from the soccer team, joining the cheerleading squad and then being rejected, not making the choir, being told you can't sing by the teacher. It's usually a great place to look for a great story to tell because of the emotion that you feel during those times. Tip number 2, look between the ages of 9 and 12. Here's the marching orders for today. Here it is. What moment comes to mind? You have many of these moments throughout your life, these defining moments that are painful. And here's the beauty of the pain that you've already lived. You guys might as well use this pain now because your pain is actually valuable. And you've already had the pain, so you might as well use it to build your company, to build your income, to build your dreams. You might as well use it. So what is the moment? That's the marching orders. What is the moment you're going to consider to use in this story going forward? Okay, I want to know that next time. Keep following, you guys. Go get them.